The Big Easy is a lively city known for hosting plenty of famous events, some of which are more flamboyant than others. With that being said, here are the stadiums and arenas of New Orleans, Louisiana. Lakefront Arena, or if I wanted to be formal and use its official title, Senator Nat G. Kiefer University of New Orleans Lakefront Arena, the first. It is worth labouring over its official title though, because it's a rather nice arena. There's a very clean looking seating layout in here, and generally speaking the amenities are more than adequate. One minor downside I suppose is the small amount of video board coverage. You might expect to see a centre hung video board at a venue like this, but that's no big deal. Oh, and in case you were wondering, the lakefront in its name is referring to its position right by Lake Pontchartrain. Speaking of bodies of water, elsewhere within the building is the UNO Aquatic Centre, which includes a full-size swimming pool. It has much cleaner water than the lake, but considerably less catfish. So no po' boys, just pool boys. Caesars Superdome. Not many NFL stadiums are as beloved by the locals as the Superdome is. I'm always hearing about how it's a major part of the city's identity. And there are several reasons why that might be the case. Firstly, it not only survived Hurricane Katrina, but sheltered thousands of evacuees in the process. It's also one of the older NFL stadiums, and has hosted a record 7 Super Bowls, which has also had a positive economic effect. Another thing I'm always hearing about New Orleans is the harsh, hot and humid climate. So even though the NFL takes place in the cooler months, it's probably for the best that they have themselves an air-conditioned dome. Maybe it's the Caesars logo playing tricks on me, but there also seems to be a certain air of luxury to this place. Also, the seating is comprised of nice, comfortable, padded seats as well, so that'll be it. I'm not a big fan of the fact that absolutely no natural light comes in here, but you can't have it all. Smoothie King Center. Given its proximity to the Caesars Superdome, it would have been fitting if this one was named after Little Caesars, but Detroit got there first. Also, praise be to His Excellency the Smoothie King, the unquestionable master of blenders, dairy and fruit, lord of all the beasts of the earth and the fishes of the seas, and conqueror of the British Empire in Africa in general and Uganda in particular. When it comes to NBA arenas, it's usually the exterior where a venue can differentiate itself from its competition. This exterior is really rather dull, which I guess does differentiate it from most NBA arenas. But inside it has all the amenities you'd expect, like a fancy center hung video board, and yes, you can actually purchase some Smoothie King smoothies within. I believe they also offer financing, so you can pay off your smoothie interest-free over the next couple of years. That is, of course, after you hand over the down payment. Tad Gormley Stadium. Plenty of stadiums have what is described as a horseshoe seating layout, but this one was seemingly designed at the in-house studio at Nike, the leading horseshoe manufacturer. There are a few frills at this place, which I suppose is fitting, as the stadium was built amidst the Great Depression, and from what I understand things weren't actually all that great back then. Its primary use nowadays is track and field. The 2 biggest colleges in town, amongst others, use it for athletics purposes, but it's also one of the state's premier high school football stadiums. It's even held baseball in the past, most notably in the 50s when it held games between the New York Mets and the Minnesota Twins for some reason. Louisiana has never had a Major League Baseball team. It's too goddamn hot here. True, they'd probably need to build another dome. After spending the best part of 4 decades at the Superdome, which was surplus to requirements, Tulane Green Wave finally built themselves a new, more appropriately sized stadium 10 years ago. It was built on the site of their previous on-campus home, Tulane Stadium, which, much like the Superdome, hosted several Super Bowls back in the day. The design is not similar to the Superdome in the slightest. It's not all that similar to most college stadiums either. A significant amount of its capacity, around 4,500, is coming from covered chairback seats, a somewhat rare sight in college football. One feature that's completely unique is the big green wave sculpture up on the video board. From afar it does seem small and insignificant, but the sculpture actually weighs nearly 2,500 pounds. That's around the same weight as your average hatchback. Next door is Greer Field at Turchin Stadium, which is where the school's baseball team plays. Like many buildings in the city, it was extensively damaged as a result of Hurricane Katrina. However, this was actually being renovated at the time, so perhaps it was a little more vulnerable than it otherwise would have been. The exterior here is a combination of red brick and green steel, in great baseball tradition. It was actually one of the 10 commandments given out by Baseball Moses. But also, college sports venues generally utilize brick like it's going out of fashion, and the team is called the Green Wave after all, so it makes perfect sense. Speaking of green waves, these guys have got a little big green wave. Oh my word, these names. Avron B. Fogelman Arena in Devlin Fieldhouse. You can see why it's commonly referred to simply as Devlin Fieldhouse. The Devlin's donations funded a major renovation that occurred in the early 2010s, so that explains why the name was lengthened. The renovation really brought the place into the 21st century. However, plenty of the old school features were preserved. Of course, the red brick exterior that you saw, but also something else they did was remove materials from the ceiling that were there to improve the acoustics for concerts, in order to reveal the original red wood ceiling underneath. It's looking great. I guess they're not interested in hosting concerts and shows anymore. Gold Mine on Airline. At last, a completely normal name for a stadium. It has an equally normal history, starting out as a minor league ballpark and remaining so until 2019, when the Baby Cakes moved to Wichita and rebranded themselves as the Wichita Wind Surge. After a very brief period of vacancy, another team arrived, a bit of an unusual team, a Major League Rugby team known as the New Orleans Gold, hence the name Gold Mine. Oh, and the stadium is situated on Airline Drive, so that's why, yeah. It's actually a pretty clever name, come to think of it. I say that they're an unusual team, but I should say rare, because not that many cities in North America have a professional rugby team. I'm glad to see that another team made this place home, even if a rugby field does look slightly out of place. Pontchartrain Center. This is the second arena in the video with a name that references the lake. The Pontchartrain Center is even closer to said lake than Lakefront Arena is. Although this place has hosted some sporting events in the past, it's really conventions and shows that dominate this venue's calendar, so we don't need to say too much about it. So I won't. And those were the stadiums of New Orleans. Consider subscribing if you're new around here, and thanks for watching. Have a good one.